Hi everyone, welcome back to placement. This week I actually wanted to do my mandated reporting check-in. I reviewed the YouTube video link that was posted for class, and I think it's a really great reminder of our responsibility. Seeing the reenactments of children is a great reminder of what our obligation is. Um, Working at the school, at the elementary school, there was a very specific incident of a child who was being neglected at home. It was a student that was part of Healthy Start, but um, I didn't have a very good relationship with this student at first, because I'm coming in new. But the teachers would sort of circulate this information that the child maybe was being sexually abused by her brother at home, and I didn't even know she had a brother at home. So it seemed like the teachers knew that something was going on, but they were trying to have me or somebody else, like another person in the Healthy Start staff, complete this because they didn't necessarily want to fill it out, but they had the first-hand information, so it was their obligation to do it. And I kind of became concerned that they just weren't going to do it, that they were just going to talk about it. Maybe their suspicions or whatnot. So I talked a lot about this with my field instructor, and she told me that it's important that this teacher does this, that reports this. And so as sort of a way for me to grow a little bit and outside my comfort zone, I took it upon myself with the encouragement of my field instructor and on-site supervisor to kind of encourage that teacher to go ahead and write the report, and she did that. She did end up doing that, but like I've mentioned before, some of the teachers are a little bit reluctant to do these things, to be open to outside help, to mental health, etc. They've been teachers for a long time, since I was a kid, so that was sort of a challenge to me to talk to the teacher, but it was an obligation I felt because they were giving me secondhand information, trying to get me to be the first-hand reporter, and that wasn't the case. I mean, I knew the student, but I didn't know about a brother, I didn't know about what was going on at home. So anyway, that was a first-hand experience that I had, and as far as being a first-hand witness to maybe some abuse at the home, and the question that we were asked is if it was up to a staff member to do it, what would we have to do? I think we would have to, I'm a mandated reporter already because of being in the school district. It's still an obligation to get that done. Now, if it has to come from a staff member, I could maybe be with that staff person to fill it out, to call right away in those first 24 hours, and to get that information in, because you can still be a secondhand reporter. And the law in California is, of course, the same. Any suspicion that a mandated reporter has, you have to call within the first 24 hours. Call as soon, pretty much, as you're suspicious or you have the report, to get that taken care of. And it's important that all that information is fresh. And even when I was starting placement, that was a question that was asked. What would you do in this situation as a mandated reporter? What is your obligation? And of course, sometimes you might be wrong, but it is an obligation to make that report whenever you feel like there's abuse at the home. So it can be intimidating, though, especially in this small town that I live in, because there aren't that many people that would make a report. So there is a fear that a family would find out that you called CPS, CFS in California, and made a report, and there's some concern about backlash. I know that some of the other Healthy Start staff have done that before, and didn't even tell anyone that they did it because they were fearful of the family. You also have to worry about the relationship with the student or the client, how that's going to change, because if you are having this confidential space, this safe space for someone to come and talk to you about whatever's going on at home, and then you have to reveal that information. I think sometimes students are afraid to tell that because they're afraid of the consequences that they'll face at home. So it's not as easy as it looks. I mean, of course, it's our responsibility and we have to do it, but sometimes you're faced with a moral dilemma. You almost wonder, is this going to do more harm than good? Because sometimes, and a lot of times, nothing comes of it. A home visit is done and nothing is found, and then the child might be in worse trouble for saying anything in the first place. I know that there was a student last year that a teacher was telling me about, not one of mine, but that the very same thing happened, that the student was disclosing a lot. They did a report, And then the following year, the student wouldn't open up to anyone ever. So that report must have been followed up on. It must have been unsuccessful, and then the student must have had quite a few repercussions at home from whoever the abuser was. So that is a fear that I have. And if anyone has done a report, I would love to hear about your experience, because I actually have not. Although I worked with all those children, there was never a time where I felt like there was abuse going on at home. Luckily, that was not something that we really had to deal with, except for that one student that I was telling you guys about at the very beginning of this check-in. So anyway, those are some of my reflections, and I will look forward to hearing about anyone's experience with mandated reporting. Thanks. Bye-bye.